What's going on, Alabama fans? Transfer portal season is among us right now. We've been doing a lot of transfer portal videos for you guys. So if you have enjoyed those transfer portal videos, make sure you like today's video for me right now. It's the first thing that you should do every single time you watch a video here at the Alabama Football Report. So if you guys want us to keep you updated on all things Alabama football related, make sure you like today's video for me right now. We're going to continue to go into some of these transfer portal targets here for the Crimson Tide. Some of these guys, obviously, we've talked about before, so I'm not going to go into a lot of depth on some of these guys unless there's something new that we need to talk about. First up, defensive lineman Kelby Collins. We've talked about him plenty in the last couple of days. He is going to be visiting Alabama on Friday and Saturday. Originally was supposed to be Thursday, but had to do some moving around for some of those dates and things like that. He is currently on a visit right now to Texas A&M. So we'll see what happens there. Alabama, coming out of high school, was his number 2 team. So we'll see what happens there. And he is also, from Alabama as well. So that bodes pretty good for Alabama, I would say myself. Next up, wide receiver Kevin Concepcion. I'll keep saying it. I absolutely love this kid because, honestly, I really do just love saying his name. On3 right now has him as the number 2 wide receiver in the transfer portal, and there is a connection to the Crimson Tide. Alabama's director of recruiting, Jatavius Sanders, was actually at NC State as the director of scouting, so they kind of overlapped each other there. The familiarity, everything like that, that always helps when recruiting guys out of the transfer portal. Look, when it comes to Concepcion, he's a really good playmaker. His freshman year there, he went for over 1,000 yards when you add in the rushing stats that he had as well. Had a little bit of a drawback in that 2024 season, but man, I think if you add him in here to Alabama's wide receiver room next year, that could be a very, very electric group there at that wide receiver room. He did drop his top 6 schools last night per Hayes Fawcett of On3, posted one of his graphics on Twitter last night. And currently right now, the only visit he has set up is to Alabama today on Thursday. So we'll see what comes out of that. He was also supposed to visit Texas A&M sometime earlier this week, but that got canceled / postponed. So we will see if Texas A&M gets a visit from him at all, and some of those other schools as well. But for right now, look, in the transfer portal, you want to be one of the first visits for one of these players out of the transfer portal, because if you're a first visit, that could set you up really nicely for that guy to hopefully commit immediately. We'll see if Alabama can keep him, on campus here. But look, if you add him into this wide receiver room, like I just said a minute ago, I think, this group with Ty Simpson at that quarterback spot can be really electric and dynamic in that 2025 season. So let me know at the pinned comment of today's video, guys. Will Alabama land Kevin Concepcion in the transfer portal? Type Y for yes or N for no at the pinned comment of today's video, especially if that ad comes here on YouTube. Next up here, we talked about him the other day as well, Luke Hasz out of Arkansas. He is a tight end out of Arkansas. What I really do like about this kid is he really does remind me of Jack Westover, at Washington before Kalen DeBoer came to Alabama, and we kind of got a little bit of a taste of it with the tight ends this year, but I think it's just really going to develop into something nicely with Ty Simpson next year at that quarterback spot. He will be on campus on Thursday for an official visit. He visited LSU back on Tuesday. He's also scheduled for a visit with Ole Miss on Friday, so staying within the SEC, we'll see if Alabama can come down with Hasz in this, not recruiting class, transfer portal class, I guess you could call it. But look, On3 also has Hasz as the number 3 tight end in the transfer portal. Remember, we talked about in 2023, he started off really hot as a freshman there at Arkansas, ended up breaking his collarbone there, and then this season didn't really have the same just dynamic playmaking ability. Didn't really get a lot of targets this year as well. Obviously, he's at that tight end spot, so not going to get as many targets there. Obviously, Arkansas as well. Not a very good team this year, so I think, you're losing Danny Lewis Jr. He hopped in the transfer portal. Also losing C.J. Dupree as well. Same with Robbie Utes. Both those guys are out of eligibility here. So I think, you signed 2 more guys in this 2025 recruiting class, but it definitely would not hurt to get somebody with, some SEC experience out of the transfer portal to help you going into next season. We'll continue on with some more transfer portal targets here in just a second, but today's show is presented by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 200 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. It's America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 different states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. PrizePicks also invented the flex play, which means you can cash out on your lineup. When it isn't perfect, you can double your money even if your picks don't hit. This is our lineup for this weekend's slate of games. You get the freebie here. Patrick Mahomes, only a half passing yard. You should add that in on every single PrizePicks lineup that you guys run with. Also went with Jaden Daniels, the more than there on the passing yards. Also went with Tyreek Hill, more than there on receiving yards. You guys can join now because this holiday season, PrizePicks is giving away 2 free picks in December. You just saw one right there with Patrick Mahomes. And they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas. Download the app today and use promo code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. One more time for you guys, download the app today. Use promo code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even have to win to get the $50. It is just guaranteed. That link will be in the description and the comments of today's video. The next transfer portal target that we're going to talk about on the show today, a new name popped up on the list today, Patrick Kutas, offensive lineman out of Arkansas. He will be visiting Alabama on Friday. And we've talked about the offensive line room and how I think Alabama does need to add at least an offensive tackle or 2 in this class. Currently on Thursday, he is visiting Ole Miss as well. So sticking with the SEC as well, another Arkansas guy there. Looking for Alabama out of the transfer portal. He suffered a back injury this past year, so he only played in 4 games. But you see there, his career numbers aren't that bad when it comes to the PFF numbers there. Like I said, he only played 4 games this year because of that back injury. So he did end up redshirting this year. You can do that if you play fewer than 5 games is basically what it comes out to there. So we will also have 2 more years of eligibility as well. And you talk about Alabama and what they like to do when it comes to the offensive line and honestly all of the positions, whether that's on offense or defense, they like to move guys around. And this is a guy that, kind of reminds me a little bit of Geno Vandermark in that aspect, coming out of Michigan State last year. We knew he was a guy with a lot of versatility, can play a lot of different positions, especially along the interior of the offensive line. But this guy right here, he's got experience at a lot of different positions here. He's played at left guard plenty. He played 1 game at center, also played a lot of snaps there at right tackle. So whether or not you actually need a right tackle next year, I don't know. It's going to be Elijah Pritchett and Will Conformity most likely, unless, one of those guys hit the transfer portal. They got plenty of time to do that still. But you see there at that left tackle spot, N'Keal Betran and Miles McVay already hit the transfer portal. So you're sitting there pretty light at that left tackle spot in terms of depth anyways. So, Alabama did sign 4 guys in that 2025 recruiting class, but, a few of those guys were interior guys. So we'll see if they kind of shift one of those guys over there or not, but still, those are freshmen coming in. And look, Caden Proctor did start in his freshman year, and you're not going out there looking for starters on the offensive line. The only guy you're going to be losing most likely right now is Tyler Booker. So we'll see what happens there, but it cannot hurt to add another offensive lineman onto Alabama's 2025 roster. So let me know your thoughts here in the comment section one more time, guys. Does Alabama need offensive line help out of the transfer portal? Type 1 if you believe that is a yes, or type 0 if you think it's a no. Last guy here that we're going to discuss in terms of guys trying to visit Alabama, Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy out of Texas A&M. He is a defensive lineman out of Texas A&M. He hopped in the transfer portal the other day and has listed Alabama as one of his top teams. Right now, currently, he's just working to set up a visit with the Crimson Tide. Got a couple visits scheduled already. We'll get to those here in just a second. But look, in his 3 years at Texas A&M, he's only played in 8 games, and he's only recorded 4 tackles. He was a former 5-star as well, number 17 player overall in that 2022 recruiting class. So you know the ability is there. And it does make you wonder, former 5-star going into his 3rd year. I know there's some guys here at Alabama kind of going through that same situation, so I don't want to, attack his character or anything like that, say he's lazy or anything like that. But it does make you wonder, what is going on there at Texas A&M? Sure, there's been a lot of drama the last couple of years at Texas A&M, but we'll see what happens here. His top teams right now, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Alabama, and North Carolina. You see right there those dates. He already does have visits to both Vanderbilt and South Carolina coming up this week and next week as well. And like I said earlier in the show, you always want to be one of those first teams to get in on those visits. And obviously, he doesn't have a date set yet with Alabama. We'll see if that happens, but I would assume right now with both Vandy and South Carolina, unless he really wants, a visit to Alabama, a lot of times that 3rd, 4th team in terms of the order, visits taken from those transfer portal players, sometimes that doesn't really, bode well in terms of you landing that player out of the portal. So we'll see what happens, there with Brownlow-Dindy, but we'll keep you guys updated on all things, out of the transfer portal regarding him. There's one more player that I want to talk about. He hasn't been linked to Alabama at all, so I'm not trying to go out there and say Alabama's going after this guy or anything like that. But look, Tacario Davis, he hopped in the transfer portal. He is one of the best cornerbacks in college football right now. He was selected as an AP second team All Pac-12 selection last season, and like I said, man, he is just a guy that flies all around the field when it comes to, one-on-one coverage and everything like that. This kid locks up defenders. You see his freshman season there in 2023, 42.6% completion percentage is absolutely insane. And in both seasons, he was thrown at over 50 times. So that's not like, backup type stuff where he's only targeted like 11 times. No, the teams are throwing at this guy, and he is absolutely locking them down. In terms of the interceptions, didn't have any this season. The PBUs went down as well, but still did not allow a touchdown. Sure, that completion percentage went up just a little bit, but this is definitely a guy that if Alabama feels like they have a need in that cornerback room, I think they definitely need to make a run at this kid. We'll see what happens with Damani Jackson, whether or not he goes off to the NFL or not. Obviously, you've got Jalen Mbakwe there as well, but man, when you can add a guy with experience and, the talent is there as well, I think Alabama definitely should go after him in the transfer portal if they feel like they need to do that in terms of depth and everything like that in that defensive backfield. Make sure you guys are subscribed right here to the Alabama Football Report. We will continue to break down any transfer news or rumors that comes out in the next, few months anyways for Alabama here. So do not miss out. We'll also be live for the Alabama versus Michigan game coming up here in just a couple of weeks. So do not miss out. Make sure you guys are subscribed. That's youtube.com/@RollTideTV.